In this tutorial, you will learn how to create a budget. You need to create a written budget every month. This budget will become your plan of attack for that month to knock out debt and build wealth. Budgeting will also help you control your money as you save for upcoming events and expenses. For example, by saving a little bit of money over a few months, you will be able to pay cash for your car registration and other future obligations. Sit down before the new month begins to create a budget and write down clear financial goals. I would suggest your first financial goal during your first budgeting month is to track all of your income and expenses. Keep track of everything, no matter how small it may seem. How do I create a budget? Many people who don't understand the power of budgeting like budgeting as much as going to the dentist. So we are going to make budgeting as simple and as easy as possible. You can use last month's budget and expenses to help forecast what you think you will spend this month on your budget. Our Debt Zero demonstration budget is based on the average Census Bureau family income of $40,816. The average family would bring home $2,551 in net income. Net income is the actual amount of money you're taking home to pay your bills. After we crunch these numbers, we see that out of $2,500 spent you take home, you spend $1,870 on debt. And this is what the typical family does. So they're spending 73% of their take-home pay, and they're paying that toward debt. That means the banks are making a lot of money off of you. Don't you think you could do something better with that money? If you were debt-free and instead of paying $1,870 toward debt, you were investing it, you would be a millionaire in about 15 years. I hope you can see the importance of controlling your income and becoming debt-free by using your most powerful tool, your budget. So our budget is actually based on these numbers, this average family. So let's take a look at our budget. So whether you use an electronic computer program to create your budget, or you feel more comfortable using a pen and paper and writing everything down, what matters most is that you track what you spend and you track your income. So let me show you how we've got this set up here. At the top of the sheet of paper, or at the top of your spreadsheet, you would put the month and year. Here we've got July 2010. Now our budget is going to have three main headings that we're going to pay attention to. The first is income, and we'll total that income at the bottom of the segment. The second is expenses, and at the bottom we'll have total expenses. And the third section is the profit or loss, which means we can review the budget and find out if we're breaking even, we're making money that month, or we're losing money that month. So let's start here with the income. So if you look over here, we're pretending that you have an annual salary of $40,000. Now if we divide that up, and let's pretend you get paid the 1st and 15th of every month, you would be paid $2,000 or $1,275.50 each paycheck. So the first thing we're going to do in our budget is, if we notice here, we have a planned column. So when you sit down and do your budget before the month begins, you're actually filling out the planned section. What do we plan to spend? What do we plan to make? So here we can see we're planning on making $2,551 from our salary. Now there's also slots for other income. So as you get your Debt Zero online business, or you get your online business going with the help of Debt Zero, you can add more income to this as it moves along. So that's how it works. And then we've got planned and actual. Actual is when we get the paycheck, we'll enter that here. We forecasted, or we made an educated guess that we would make $1,275, and we did. So now let's move down here to expenses. So under expenses, we've got 4 columns. We've got planned, what we forecast will be our expenses. We've got actual, what the actual cost of the bill was. Our due date, when the bill is due, and when we paid it, the paid date. So let's look at our mortgage, for example. We anticipate that, or we plan that we'll spend $850. When it comes time to pay the bill, we actually paid $850. It was due on July 15th, and we paid it one day early, July 14th. So as you go through your bills, you'll keep track through the whole month on what you're spending. Now, in a perfect world, your planned and your actual would be pretty darn close. But as you see, you may have unexpected bills that come up, or you may spend more money than you thought to in one category or the other. So what we would recommend is that you have a weekly budgeting meeting where you sit down, you pay your bills, and you update your budget. You also have the opportunity to tweak your budget. Maybe this week we spent $50 on food and we were planning on spending $40. So where are you going to make up that extra $10? Maybe we need to trim eating out. We've got to make it up somewhere else. So I would really highly recommend that you sit down, you keep track of everything, and you really use the power of setting written goals to achieve your financial dreams. So we look here on our budget. We've got a total income of $2,551. We've got expenses of $2,451. So we've found out we have a profit of $100, which means we've reviewed our budget, we've trimmed some things, we've distinguished between wants and needs, and we've trimmed it down to wants so that we can get $100 extra that we can use to pound down on debt. So, a common question that we get is, what if I create my budget and my expenses are more than my income? Well, you basically have two options. Number one, decrease your expenses, or number two, increase your income. You could also do a combination of both, but just to keep it simple, let's look at one or the other strategy. So since this lesson focuses on a debt strategy, I will address option one, decreasing your expenses. Identify needs versus wants. A need is something critical for your family's survival, such as shelter, food, utilities, transportation, appropriate insurance, and other needs. What I want you to do is go down your budget and circle every expense in your budget that is a want. A want is something that is not critical for your family's survival, such as gym memberships, an expensive cable TV package, club memberships, magazine subscriptions, computer games, vacations, gifts, personal electronics, and much more. After you've circled the wants, then eliminate them from your budget. This may sound like an extreme or drastic measure, but if your expenses are more than your income, your head is below water and you're drowning. You need to make a dramatic change right now to keep you financially alive. Now, the one thing you've got to remember is that once you're out of debt, and instead of paying that $1,870 every month, you are going to be able to build wealth, and you'll be able to have fun and help other people, and it'll be a great time in your life. But what you've got to do now is sacrifice to get there. And budgeting is the greatest tool. It's kind of a map of success, a map of your financial success. So that is the first step in your debt strategy. Please feel free to join me on step 2.